Hello, friends. Welcome back to Mr. English Lab. Today, I want to take you on a story, a journey about the power of good communication. Imagine walking into a room full of people. Some are talking, laughing, sharing stories, and you feel lost. You want to say something, but your words seem stuck in your throat. This feeling is familiar to many people learning English. I want you to imagine that feeling carefully. You are standing there, watching people smile, and you want to join the conversation, but you do not know how. That is the moment when communication becomes magic and, sometimes, a challenge. Communication is not just words. It is listening, understanding, feeling, and sharing. It is the bridge between people. But here is the thing, not everyone feels confident about crossing that bridge. Some people speak fast, use big words, or speak clearly, and others, like you, might feel small. This story is about learning to cross that bridge slowly, with heart and with care. Let me tell you a story about a young man named Tom. Tom was shy, soft-spoken, and often worried about what people might think of him. He wanted to speak English better, not just to pass exams, but to connect with people. One day, he joined a small club in his city. People there were friendly, smiling, but Tom felt nervous. He wanted to say something, anything, but the words felt heavy. Can you feel Tom's fear? That weight in your chest when you want to speak, but cannot find the right word? That is real. That is human. The first day in the club, Tom just listened. He listened to stories about travels, movies, dreams, and small daily life events. He realized something. Even though he could not speak well, he could listen carefully. Listening is the first step in communication. And here is a secret. Listening is not passive. It is active. It is noticing the tone, the pauses, the excitement, the worry in someone's voice. It is noticing when someone smiles after a story or when they look for your reaction. Tom started nodding slowly, smiling at the right moments, and even laughing quietly. People noticed. They welcomed him, and slowly, the bridge began to form. After a few weeks, Tom tried something brave. He shared a small story about his morning, about his coffee, and about a small mistake he made while making breakfast. His voice was soft, words simple, but people laughed kindly, and some even shared their own stories. That small moment changed everything. Tom realized that good communication is about courage, honesty, and listening. It is not about perfect grammar or long sentences or fancy words. It is about sharing your small human truth and feeling connected. Tom's journey teaches us an important lesson. Many learners think they must speak perfectly to communicate. That is not true. The power of communication comes from clarity, heart, and attention. Even small words, spoken slowly and with care, can open doors. The magic is in noticing, responding, and being present. Every time you listen well and respond honestly, you build a bridge. And every bridge brings a connection, a smile, and sometimes a friendship. So, today, as we start this story, I want you to try something. Imagine yourself as Tom. Imagine listening carefully. Imagine smiling, nodding, noticing small details in someone's words. And imagine speaking slowly with care. Even a small story, shared bravely, can light up the room. By the end of our journey, you will see that good communication is a skill, a habit, and a beautiful human power. It is something you can practice every day. And this is just the beginning. There is so much more to discover about speaking and listening. In the next section, we will explore how small changes in your words and tone can make people feel understood and valued. This is where the real magic of communication begins. But for now, take a deep breath, feel your curiosity, and remember, every big journey starts with one small step. One small word. One small story. One small connection. Welcome back, friends, to Mr. English Lab. In the last section, we met Tom, a shy young man who discovered that good communication is not about perfect English, but about listening, noticing, and sharing honestly. Today, we will follow Tom as he learns small daily habits that change the way he speaks, listens, and connects with others. Imagine yourself walking beside Tom. Each step he takes is slow, careful, but full of curiosity. And each step is a chance for you to practice English naturally, with emotion and clarity. After the first weeks in the club, Tom felt more confident. But he wanted more. He wanted to speak clearly, tell stories that felt alive, and understand others without hesitation. One morning, he decided to start a small habit. He would listen to one short story every day. Not a long story, not a difficult one, but one story that he could follow. He would listen slowly, noticing the words, the tone, the pauses, and the emotions. At first, it was hard. Sometimes he missed words. Sometimes he could not understand the meaning. But Tom did not give up. He repeated the story, sentence by sentence. He repeated the words softly, almost like singing. And slowly, he began to hear patterns in English. He noticed how questions are asked, how sentences rise and fall, and how small words like just, really, and maybe give color to speech. Next, Tom practiced shadowing. Shadowing means repeating words right after you hear them. He listened to a sentence and immediately said it aloud, trying to match the tone, the speed, and the feeling of the speaker. Sometimes he stumbled. Sometimes the words felt strange on his tongue. But each time he tried, he felt a little stronger. He realized that speaking is like walking on a bridge. At first it is shaky, but with practice, every step becomes smoother. Can you imagine yourself trying this? Saying each word, slowly, feeling it, noticing how it moves from your mind to your mouth? That is the core of good communication: clarity, patience, and attention. Tom also learned to observe people when they speak. In the club, he noticed that some people used their hands, some smiled often, some paused before saying something important. Tom began to imitate this gently. He did not copy, but he noticed how body language and small sounds make words more alive. He realized that communication is not only in words. It is in gestures, expressions, tone, and timing. When you pay attention to these details, people feel understood. They feel connected. They feel like you are really listening, not just waiting for your turn to speak. Another habit Tom developed was telling one short story every day. He would start with something small. Today I drank coffee, or I saw a bird outside my window. At first, he thought, this is too simple. People will not care. But he tried anyway. Slowly, he added small details: the smell of the coffee, the color of the bird, the way the sunlight touched the leaves. People began to notice. They listened. They asked questions. Tom felt joy. He realized that even simple stories, told with care and small details, make big connections. The key is attention, emotion, and courage. Tom also practiced asking questions. When someone told a story, he would ask, "What happened next?" or "How did you feel?" At first, it felt strange. Sometimes he forgot the words. But every time he asked a question, the other person smiled. They shared more. They felt valued. Tom felt powerful in a gentle way. He realized that good communication is not about speaking more, but about inviting others to speak, to share, and to feel understood. One day, Tom tried something new. He told a story about his childhood memory. He spoke slowly, smiled, paused for effect, and added little gestures. The group was silent for a moment, then they laughed, then they shared their own childhood memories. Tom felt something he had never felt before: a real connection. That moment taught him a lesson. The power of good communication is emotional. It is about sharing feelings, noticing feelings, and responding with care. Words are important, but feelings are the bridge. Friends, you can practice like Tom. Start with small steps. Listen to a short story, repeat sentences aloud, notice gestures, tell a small story, ask a question. Every day, even 5 minutes, will make a difference. Communication is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. And here is the beauty. You do not need perfect English. You need patience, curiosity, and care. That is all. At the end of the day, Tom reflected on his progress. He could see how far he had come. He could remember the first day when words felt heavy, and now he could speak with warmth, attention, and clarity. He realized that communication is not a talent you are born with, but a skill you build slowly, with love for the people you connect with. And the more he practiced, the more confident he felt. Not proud, not arrogant, but calm, happy, and connected. In the next section, we will explore how listening deeply can change your understanding of people and English. We will learn how to feel what others feel and respond naturally, not just with words, but with heart. Remember, communication is a journey. Tom's story is not finished, and neither is yours. Welcome back, friends, to Mr. English Lab. So far, we have followed Tom as he took his first steps into the world of communication. He learned to listen, to tell small stories, and to practice speaking with care. Today, we will walk with Tom into a deeper skill, listening with heart. Listening is not just about hearing words. It is about feeling the meaning behind the words, noticing emotions, and understanding people even when they do not say everything. Imagine sitting across from a friend. They start talking about their day. You hear the words, but also the pauses, the excitement, the sadness. You notice their hands, the way their eyes move, and the small smile they give at the end. That is listening with heart. Tom learned this slowly. One evening, he met Sarah, a new member of the club. She was quiet, looking down at her hands, speaking softly. Most people would just wait for her to finish or try to start talking themselves. But Tom remembered a lesson he had learned. Real communication is about noticing others first. So he leaned forward slightly, smiled gently, and said nothing at first. He just listened. Every time she paused, he nodded. Every time she hesitated, he waited. And slowly, Sarah began to open up. She told a story about a small mistake at work, how she felt embarrassed, and how she learned something new. Tom did not interrupt. He did not correct her English. He just listened. He noticed the warmth, the hesitation, and the small laugh in her voice. After she finished, Tom asked one simple question. How did that make you feel? Sarah's eyes lit up. She realized someone had noticed her feelings, not just her words. That small moment taught Tom an important truth. Listening deeply is more powerful than speaking perfectly. When you listen with heart, people feel understood. They feel safe. They feel connected. And in that space, communication flows naturally. Tom started practicing this every day. He would meet someone, even for a few minutes, and focus entirely on them. He would notice how their words rose and fell, when they smiled, when they looked away, and when their voice changed. Sometimes he repeated small words quietly to himself. She feels nervous, or he is excited. This small habit helped him connect faster and understand more clearly. And the best part? People responded naturally. They shared more, laughed more, and even asked Tom to share his stories. One day, the club organized a small group discussion. Each person would talk for a few minutes, and others would listen. Tom remembered what he had practiced. He listened with attention, smiled when appropriate, and asked gentle questions. When it was his turn to speak, He told a story about helping a neighbor fix a broken door. He spoke slowly, paused, smiled, and added little details about how he felt nervous at first and then proud when the door was fixed. The group reacted warmly. They asked questions, shared their experiences, and Tom realized something amazing. The deeper you listen, the easier it is to speak. Listening and speaking are not separate. They are two sides of the same coin. Friends, you can practice like Tom. Start small. When someone talks, do not rush to speak. Notice their tone, their gestures, and their emotions. Repeat small phrases in your mind. They are happy or they are nervous. Ask gentle questions. What happened next? Or how did you feel? Even a few minutes of this practice every day will improve your English listening and speaking naturally. And the beautiful part? You will also feel closer to people, even if your words are simple. Tom also discovered that empathy makes words stronger. Empathy means trying to feel what another person feels. When Sarah told her story about the mistake at work, Tom imagined himself in her shoes. He remembered a time when he felt embarrassed and nervous. This helped him respond gently, not with criticism, but with kindness and curiosity. And kindness, even in simple English, is a bridge. Words can be small, but emotions make them big. At the end of the evening, Tom reflected quietly. He realized that listening is a skill that grows every day, like a small plant. You water it with attention, patience, and care. You watch it slowly grow until one day it becomes strong and you can feel its presence everywhere. That is the power of listening with heart. And the more Tom practiced, the more natural his English became. He did not focus on grammar or perfect words. He focused on connection, clarity, and emotion. And everything else followed. In the next section, we will explore how stories create understanding and connection, and how you can use storytelling to speak confidently, even as a beginner. Remember, friends, communication is a journey. Every small step, every small story, every careful pause brings you closer to speaking English like a storyteller, with heart and flow. Welcome back, friends, to Mr. English Lab. So far, we have followed Tom as he learned to listen carefully, notice emotions, and connect with people. Today, we will step into the world of stories. Stories are powerful. They help people understand each other, feel emotions, and remember ideas. Even simple stories can create deep connections. Imagine sitting with a friend and sharing a small event from your day. Suddenly, they smile, laugh, or nod, and you feel closer. That is the magic of stories. Tom discovered this magic slowly. One day, the club asked each member to tell a short story about something that made them happy. Tom thought, I do not have a story. My English is not good. People will not understand me. But he remembered what he had learned. Connection is more important than perfection. So, he decided to try. He remembered a small moment from the previous week. He had helped a neighbor carry heavy groceries. At first, it was tiring, but then the neighbor smiled warmly and thanked him. That small moment felt big. Tom took a deep breath and told his story, slowly, smiling and adding small details. The color of the grocery bags, the sound of the door, and the neighbor's kind words. The group listened quietly. They laughed gently when something was funny and nodded when something was kind. Tom realized that people felt the story, not just the words. Even though he made small grammar mistakes, they understood him perfectly. He learned an important lesson. Stories are about feeling, not perfection. Words are important, but what matters most is emotion, clarity, and the details that make the story alive. After that, Tom started practicing every day. He would pick small events, drinking coffee, meeting a friend, seeing a bird, or helping someone. He would describe what happened, how he felt, and what he noticed. At first, his stories were short, with only a few sentences. But he added details slowly. The smell of coffee, the warm sunlight, the color of the bird, the sound of the wind. Each detail made the story richer and helped him practice listening, thinking, and speaking in English at the same time. Tom also learned to use structure in storytelling. A story has a beginning, middle, and end. The beginning introduces the scene. The middle shows a challenge or event. The end gives a feeling or reflection. For example, in the grocery story, the beginning was carrying the bags, the middle was struggling with the weight, and the end was the neighbor smiling and thanking him. This simple structure helps people follow your story, even if your words are short or simple. It also makes your speaking clear and natural, which is very important for listening practice. Another habit Tom developed was adding feelings to stories. When telling a story, he would notice, how did I feel? Nervous? Excited? Happy? Sad? Adding these feelings makes stories alive and helps listeners understand you better. For example, saying, I was nervous to carry the heavy bags, but I felt proud when I finished, is much more powerful than just saying, I carried the bags. Words plus feelings create connection. Tom practiced telling his stories to different people. Sometimes to one friend, sometimes to the club. Each time, he noticed reactions, smiles, laughter, nods, or questions. He learned to adjust, slow down if someone looks confused, repeat a word if needed, and always keep a gentle smile. This practice improved his speaking flow, clarity, and confidence. And listening improved too, because he had to pay attention to how people reacted, what they asked, and how they felt. One day, Tom realized a powerful truth. Everyone loves stories. Stories are universal. They help people connect, understand, and feel emotions together. And even beginners can tell stories. You do not need long sentences or fancy words. You only need to notice small events, describe them with feelings, and share them slowly. This is exactly what makes your English alive, clear, and emotional. Friends, you can try this too. Start with small stories. Pick one event every day. Describe it slowly. Add feelings and details. Use the beginning, middle, and end. Listen to how people react. Notice what they ask. Repeat and improve slowly. In a few weeks, your speaking will become natural, flowing, and full of emotion. Your listening will improve too, because you will start noticing details, feelings, and reactions in every conversation. By the end of this section, Tom reflected again. He saw how far he had come from the first day in the club. From a shy listener to a careful storyteller. From nervous and unsure to calm, attentive, and confident. And he realized one big truth. Good communication is a skill anyone can practice, one small story at a time. Stories are not just for entertainment. They're the bridge that connects people, builds understanding, and makes English learning alive and meaningful. In the next section, we will explore how asking questions and responding naturally creates deeper conversations, and how you can turn simple English into rich, flowing communication. Remember, friends, communication is not about perfect English. It is about connection, emotion, and courage to share your small stories with heart. Welcome back, friends, to Mr. English Lab. So far, we have walked with Tom as he learned to listen carefully, notice emotions, and tell stories that connect. Today, we enter a new stage of his journey, conversation as a dance. Conversations are not just speaking. They're a gentle rhythm between listening, asking, and responding. Like a dance, if one step is too fast or too slow, it feels awkward. But if you notice your partner, move with care, and follow the rhythm, it feels natural and beautiful. That is what good communication is. Tom noticed this one evening during a club meeting. He was talking with Luis, a friendly member who loved sports. At first, Tom tried to speak like he had practiced, full sentences, perfect words. But Luis spoke quickly, using words Tom did not know. Tom felt nervous. He could have stopped, stayed silent, or rushed to speak. Instead, he remembered a lesson. Asking questions is more powerful than speaking perfectly. So, he smiled gently and asked, "Can you explain slowly?" Luis smiled back. Tom continued, "Which player was your favorite?" And Luis began to explain more, slowly, clearly. Tom listened carefully, nodded, and asked another question. This small strategy changed everything. Tom realized that asking simple questions invites people to share. It shows interest, makes conversations flow, and gives you time to listen and understand. You do not need perfect words. You only need curiosity. Even one question can open the door to a longer conversation. Tom began practicing this skill every day. When someone spoke, he noticed, "What is interesting here? What can I ask?" He would ask questions like, "Why did you do that?" or "How did it feel?" or "What happened next?" At first, it felt strange. Sometimes he forgot the words. Sometimes he asked too many questions. But slowly, he found a rhythm. Conversations became less stressful and more fun. He realized that questions are like keys. They open doors, reveal stories, and create connection. Another lesson Tom learned was responding naturally. After listening, he did not need to answer with long sentences or perfect grammar. A small response like, "Wow, that sounds fun," or "I see, that must have been hard," is enough. Simple words combined with smiles, nods, and gestures make people feel heard. This is the heart of conversation. Words are not always about information. They're about connection, understanding, and flow. Tom also noticed that pauses are important. When someone speaks, it is okay to wait a moment before responding. A pause shows that you are thinking, paying attention, and valuing their words. Sometimes he paused for 2 seconds, then added a question or comment. This small habit made his conversations more thoughtful, natural, and calm. Listeners noticed. They smiled. They spoke more. And Tom felt confident, even with simple English. One evening, Tom had a long conversation with Maya, another club member. She shared a story about learning a new skill. Tom listened carefully, asked small questions, nodded, and smiled. Then he shared a short story about himself. Maya reacted warmly. She asked questions back. The conversation flowed like a river. Tom realized something important. A good conversation is a balance of listening, asking, and sharing. It is not about talking too much or saying perfect words. It is about rhythm, attention, and small, meaningful exchanges. Friends, you can practice like Tom. Start with small conversations every day. Listen carefully. Ask simple questions. Respond naturally with small words or gestures. Notice pauses. Observe expressions and tone. Every conversation is practice for your English and your connection skills. And remember, even small words, spoken with care, create big connections. At the end of the day, Tom reflected again. He saw that conversations are like dances. Sometimes steps are slow. Sometimes there are mistakes. But if you move with attention and heart, the dance becomes smooth, enjoyable, and natural. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes to speak English with clarity, emotion, and flow. In the next section, we will explore how challenges and mistakes are part of learning, and how embracing them can improve your English confidence and communication skills. Remember, friends, conversation is not about perfection. It is about connection, rhythm, and courage to share your words with heart. Welcome back, friends, to Mr. English Lab. So far, We have followed Tom as he learned to listen deeply, tell stories, and have flowing conversations. Today, we enter a very important part of his journey, making mistakes and learning from them. Many learners feel afraid to speak English because they worry about saying the wrong words, using bad grammar, or sounding silly. But mistakes are not enemies, they are teachers. Imagine walking on a bridge. At first, it feels shaky. Sometimes you slip. But each time you step carefully, you learn how to balance. That is exactly what mistakes do in communication. Tom remembered his first big mistake. One day, during the club, he tried to tell a story about cooking breakfast. He said a sentence wrong. A word came out backward. Some people smiled politely. Tom felt embarrassed. He thought, I cannot speak English. I will never get better. But then, he took a deep breath and tried again. He corrected himself slowly, smiled, and told the story with slightly different words. People laughed, asked questions, and shared similar stories. That small moment taught Tom something very important. Mistakes are normal, and they can even help you connect with people. From that day, Tom decided to change his relationship with mistakes. He told himself, mistakes are part of learning. They show I am trying. They help me notice what I can improve. Every time he spoke and stumbled, he smiled, corrected gently, and continued. Over time, he noticed something surprising. People stopped focusing on his mistakes. They focused on his story, his feelings, and his attention. And his English improved faster than he expected. Tom also discovered the power of reflecting on mistakes. After every conversation or story, he would quietly think, which words were difficult? Which sentences were hard to say? Which parts were clear? Then he would practice those small sentences slowly at home. Sometimes he wrote them down. Sometimes he repeated them aloud. This small habit made him more confident because he learned from each mistake instead of fearing it. Another lesson Tom learned was asking for help. When he did not know a word, he would say, I do not know this word. Can you explain? Or, how do you say this in English? People were happy to help. They appreciated his honesty. This not only taught him new words, but also strengthened connection and trust. Communication is not a solo performance. It is a shared journey, and asking for help is part of the dance. Tom also realized the importance of kindness to yourself. Mistakes can feel uncomfortable. You may blush, pause, or feel frustrated. But instead of being hard on yourself, he learned to smile, take a breath, and try again. He said to himself, it is okay. I am learning. I am growing. This small change in mindset made him calmer, more confident, and more willing to speak. Friends, you can practice like Tom. Start noticing mistakes without fear. Smile when you stumble. Correct yourself gently. Reflect on difficult words or sentences. Ask questions when you do not understand. And most importantly, be kind to yourself. Every mistake is a step forward, every correction is a lesson, and every try brings confidence. By the end of the day, Tom reflected again. He remembered all the times he stumbled, paused, or felt nervous. And he realized a truth: mistakes do not block communication, they improve it. The more you embrace them, the faster you grow. And the more you speak with courage, even imperfectly, the more your English flows naturally. In the next section, we will explore how building daily habits of listening, speaking, and storytelling creates lasting improvement. You will see how small, consistent steps make you confident, fluent, and expressive in English. Remember, friends, mistakes are not failures. They are stepping stones to real, meaningful communication. Welcome back, friends, to Mr. English Lab. So far, we have followed Tom as he learned to listen carefully, tell stories, ask questions, and embrace mistakes. Today, we focus on something very powerful: habits. Habits are small actions we do every day. They may feel tiny, but over time, they create big changes. Learning English is not about one long study session. It is about small, consistent steps, repeated day after day. Imagine planting seeds in a garden. One seed may seem small, but with water and sunlight every day, it grows into a strong, beautiful plant. That is exactly how habits work for communication. Tom started small. He created 3 simple daily habits. The first habit was listening. Every day, he would listen to a short story, a conversation, or a podcast. He listened slowly, noticing words, pauses, tone, and feelings. Sometimes he repeated the sentences softly. Sometimes he wrote down words he did not know. This small habit, done every day, helped him understand English naturally and notice patterns in speech. The second habit was speaking. Every day, Tom would speak aloud for 5 to 10 minutes. He could tell a small story, describe his day, or talk about an object in the room. At first, it felt awkward. Sometimes he stumbled over words. Sometimes he forgot sentences. But because he practiced daily, slowly and gently, his speaking became smoother, clearer, and more confident. Even small daily practice creates strong improvement. The third habit was reflection. Each evening, Tom would think quietly, what did I learn today? Which words were new? Which sentences felt natural? What mistakes did I make? Then he would smile, repeat difficult words, and plan small steps for tomorrow. Reflection helped him notice progress, celebrate small wins, and correct mistakes gently. Tom also added small habits for social practice. He greeted neighbors, asked friends simple questions, and shared tiny stories every day. These small conversations felt easy because he practiced listening, speaking, and noticing emotions regularly. And slowly, he realized a big truth. Daily habits make English natural, not stressful. Another habit Tom built was story practice. Each day, he picked one small event and told a story aloud. Sometimes to himself, sometimes to a friend. He described the beginning, middle, and end. He added feelings and gestures. Over weeks, this habit made him a natural storyteller, able to speak clearly, fluently, and with emotion. Tom also practiced question habits. He would ask 1 or 2 questions every conversation. What happened next? Or, how did you feel? This habit made conversations flow, invited more sharing, and strengthened connection. Small questions every day make speaking and listening easier and more meaningful. Friends, you can practice like Tom. Start with tiny daily steps. Listen for 5 minutes, speak for 5 minutes, reflect for 2 minutes. Add a story, ask 1 question, notice 1 gesture. Each small habit may seem small alone, but over weeks, they create big, lasting change. Habits are not about perfection. They're about consistency, patience, and curiosity. At the end of the day, Tom reflected quietly. He noticed that his English had grown naturally. He could speak with confidence, listen with attention, tell stories with emotion, and have flowing conversations. All of this happened not in one day, not with magic, but with daily habits practiced with care. And he realized a truth that can help every learner. Small, consistent actions every day create strong, lasting skills. In the next section, we will explore how confidence grows through practice, patience, and connection, and how you can feel calm and capable in any English conversation. Remember, friends, habits are the secret to success. Each small step, repeated daily, builds fluency, clarity, and courage. Welcome back, friends, to Mr. English Lab. So far, we have followed Tom as he learned listening, storytelling, asking questions, embracing mistakes, and building daily habits. Today, we explore something very special: confidence. Confidence is not about being perfect. It is not about knowing all the words or never making mistakes. Confidence is about believing in yourself, trusting your ability to connect, and taking small steps every day. Imagine a small plant growing toward the sun. It does not grow perfectly straight at first. Sometimes it leans, sometimes it bends, but it keeps reaching upward. That is what confidence feels like in English. Tom's first experience with confidence came slowly. At first, he felt nervous speaking in the club. His voice was soft. He paused often. But he remembered a lesson. Connection is more important than perfection. Each time he spoke, even a small sentence, he noticed the positive reactions, smiles, nods, and questions. He realized something amazing. People respond to effort, honesty, and attention, not just perfect grammar. Another way Tom built confidence was repetition. He would tell the same story several times to different people. Each time, he added small improvements, clearer words, better gestures, or more feeling. Repetition helped him feel calm, prepared, and confident. Confidence grows when you practice slowly and notice small improvements. Tom also practiced positive self-talk. Whenever he felt nervous, he would tell himself, "It is okay. I am learning. I am improving." Simple sentences like these, repeated daily, helped him feel calmer and more willing to speak. Confidence is a mindset as much as it is a skill. Your words and thoughts about yourself shape how freely you can communicate. Another important lesson Tom learned was preparing for small moments. He would plan short stories, questions, or phrases before club meetings or casual conversations. Preparation did not mean memorizing long sentences. It meant being ready with simple, clear, and heartfelt words. This small step made him feel more secure and confident. Tom also realized the power of connection in confidence. When he listened carefully, asked questions, and responded naturally, people reacted warmly. That warmth made him feel safe to speak, try new words, and share longer stories. Confidence grows when you know people see your effort, not just your mistakes. One day, Tom had a long conversation with Anna, a new member. She spoke quickly, with many new words he did not know. At first, he felt nervous. But he remembered all his lessons: listen carefully, ask questions, respond naturally, smile, and pause when needed. Slowly, he joined the conversation. He repeated small sentences in his mind, smiled, and added gestures. Anna responded warmly. Tom realized he could handle situations that once felt impossible. His confidence had grown. Friends, you can build confidence like Tom. Start small. Speak one sentence, listen carefully, ask one question, tell one story. Repeat. Celebrate small wins. Be kind to yourself. Notice how people respond. Every small step makes your English stronger, smoother, and more confident. Confidence is not sudden. It grows slowly, like a small fire you nurture every day. At the end of the day, Tom reflected again. He remembered his first nervous day at the club. He remembered feeling lost, unsure, and hesitant. Now he could listen deeply, tell stories, ask questions, and connect with people. His voice was calmer, clearer, and more natural. And he realized the truth: confidence is not being perfect. It is taking small steps with heart, practicing daily, and connecting with people honestly. In the next section, we will explore how combining all these skills — listening, storytelling, questioning, habits, and confidence — creates a natural flow in English communication. You will see how all the pieces fit together and how you can speak like a storyteller, full of emotion and clarity. Remember, friends, confidence is built with patience, practice, and connection. Every small effort matters. Welcome back, friends, to Mr. English Lab. So far, we have followed Tom as he learned listening, storytelling, asking questions, embracing mistakes, building habits, and growing confidence. Today, we explore something very exciting: flow. Flow is the natural rhythm of speaking and listening. It is when words come smoothly, sentences connect, and conversations feel easy and alive. Flow is not about speaking fast or perfectly. It is about connecting your thoughts, feelings, and words in a gentle, steady way. Imagine a river. Water moves smoothly around rocks, bends, and small obstacles. That is what flow feels like in English. Tom noticed flow one evening during a club conversation. He told a story about helping a neighbor carry groceries. He spoke slowly, added small details, smiled, paused for effect, and asked a question at the end. The group listened, laughed, and shared their own stories. Tom realized something amazing. Flow is created when listening, storytelling, questioning, and confidence work together. Each skill supports the other. Listening gives you attention. Storytelling gives you words and emotion. Questions create connection. Confidence lets you speak without fear. Habits make all of this natural. Tom began practicing flow every day. He would pick one story, tell it aloud, listen to reactions, ask questions, and reflect afterward. At first, it felt difficult. Sometimes he paused too long. Sometimes he repeated words. Sometimes he lost his place. But he did not worry. He remembered his lessons. Mistakes are normal, small steps build skills, and connection is more important than perfection. Slowly, the rhythm began to feel natural. Words came more easily. Sentences connected. Stories felt alive. Conversations flowed. Another secret Tom discovered is pausing and breathing. Flow does not mean speaking without stops. It means speaking with gentle pauses. Pauses give listeners time to understand, give speakers time to think, and make words feel natural. When Tom added small pauses before questions, after emotional moments, or between sentences, his speech became smoother and more expressive. Listeners noticed. They smiled, nodded, and responded more. Flow is a dance of words and silence together. Tom also realized that flow grows when you combine practice and attention. Habits of listening, storytelling, asking questions, reflecting, and practicing daily all join together. Each skill alone is helpful, but together, they create something special, natural English that feels alive and connected. Flow is not magic. It is practice, attention, and heart working together every day. One evening, Tom had a long conversation with the entire club. He told a story, asked questions, listened carefully, smiled, and responded naturally. The conversation moved smoothly from story to story. Everyone laughed, shared, and connected. Tom felt something he had never felt before. His English was flowing naturally. Not perfect, not fast, but clear, confident, and full of feeling. That is the moment he understood the real power of all his practice. Friends, you can find flow like Tom. Start by combining what you have learned. Listen carefully, tell small stories, ask questions, practice habits, and trust yourself. Speak slowly, pause, add feelings, and notice reactions. Flow does not come immediately. It comes from practice, patience, and connection over time. And when you feel it, English becomes not just words, but a living, breathing way to share stories, feelings, and ideas. At the end of the day, Tom reflected once more. He remembered feeling nervous on his first day at the club. He remembered struggling to speak, forgetting words, and pausing too long. Now he could tell stories, connect with people, respond naturally, and speak with rhythm. He realized a big truth: flow in English is not about perfection. It is about combining your skills, speaking with heart, and practicing every day. In the next section, we will explore how to continue growing beyond the club, using real-life practice, observation, and creativity. You will see how English learning can become a joyful, lifelong journey. Remember, friends, flow is the result of attention, patience, connection, and consistent practice. Each small step builds a natural rhythm in your English. Welcome back, friends, to Mr. English Lab. So far, we have followed Tom as he learned listening, storytelling, asking questions, embracing mistakes, building habits, gaining confidence, and finding flow. Today, we explore the next step, how to continue growing English beyond the club. Learning does not stop with classes or practice sessions. The real growth happens in everyday life, when you notice, listen, and speak in small moments. Every day is full of opportunities to practice and improve if you pay attention. Tom realized this one sunny morning. He walked to the local park and noticed people talking, laughing, and sharing stories. He decided to observe and listen. He noticed simple things, how someone greeted a friend, how children laughed when they played, how a person explained directions politely. These small observations became a new way to learn English. You do not need complicated books or exercises. You only need to watch, listen, and notice words, tone, pauses, and gestures. Life itself is a teacher. Tom also started real-life practice. He greeted neighbors with "Good morning," asked small questions like, "How are you?" or "What did you do today?" and told tiny stories about his day. At first, he felt shy. Sometimes he stumbled over words. Sometimes the other person spoke too quickly. But he remembered everything he had learned. Pause, ask questions, listen, smile, and respond naturally. Slowly, his conversations became smoother, clearer, and more connected. Another tool Tom discovered was creative exercises. He would write short stories about small moments, draw simple pictures, or even narrate imaginary situations aloud. For example, he imagined meeting a friendly dog in the park or helping someone carry a bag. Then he told the story aloud, adding feelings, gestures, and questions. This creative play helped him practice speaking and thinking in English without pressure and made his stories richer and more alive. Tom also practiced shadowing. He would listen to simple English conversations, podcasts, or videos and repeat what he heard slowly and clearly. At first, it felt awkward. Sometimes his voice did not match the rhythm. Sometimes he forgot words. But over time, his pronunciation improved, his listening became sharper, and he began to notice the natural flow of English. Shadowing is like training your brain and mouth together, helping words move smoothly from thought to speech. One important habit Tom built was reflecting every evening. He would think, "What did I notice today? Which words were new? What conversations went well? Where can I improve tomorrow?" Reflection helped him see progress, correct mistakes, and plan next steps. Even small reflection every day builds strong skills over weeks and months. Friends, you can practice like Tom. Start observing small details around you. Listen to conversations, notice gestures, and repeat words softly. Speak in real life, even if only a few sentences. Play with stories, imagine situations, and narrate them aloud. Repeat words and phrases from podcasts or videos. Reflect on what you learned. Small steps every day, in life itself, create natural improvement. By the end of the day, Tom reflected again. He remembered the shy, nervous boy who first joined the club. Now he could greet people, ask questions, tell stories, listen carefully, respond naturally, and speak with calm confidence. And he realized something very important: English is everywhere. Every conversation, every observation, every small story is a chance to grow. Learning never stops. It is a journey that continues in daily life. In the next section, we will explore how to maintain motivation, curiosity, and joy in learning English, and how to make communication a lifelong adventure. Remember, friends, growth beyond practice happens when you observe, speak, create, and reflect in everyday life. Every small step counts. Welcome back, friends, to Mr. English Lab. So far, we have followed Tom through listening, storytelling, asking questions, embracing mistakes, building habits, gaining confidence, finding flow, and growing beyond the club. Today, we explore something very special: how to maintain motivation, curiosity, and joy in learning English for life. Learning English is not just about skills or rules. It is about curiosity, excitement, and enjoying the process. When you enjoy learning, progress comes naturally. When you feel curious, your mind opens and every word becomes interesting. Tom realized this gradually. At first, he practiced because he wanted to speak correctly. He focused only on grammar, words, and structure. But over time, he noticed that joy makes learning easier and faster. One day, he told a funny story to a friend. Both of them laughed heartily. Tom felt excited. He realized that when learning is fun, he remembers words, stories, and expressions more easily. Curiosity and joy became his strongest teachers. Another secret Tom discovered is curiosity in everyday life. He asked questions not just to practice English, but to understand people and the world around him. Why is the sky orange at sunset? How did this bird build its nest? What makes this recipe special? Curiosity made him notice details, think in English, and speak naturally. When you are curious, learning is not forced. It becomes a joyful exploration. Tom also learned the importance of celebrating small wins. Every time he told a story, asked a question, or understood a new word, he celebrated silently. I did it. Even small achievements keep motivation alive. You do not need huge success to feel progress. Small, daily celebrations build long-term confidence and excitement for learning. Another habit Tom built was mixing practice with passion. He would watch videos, listen to stories, or read topics that genuinely interested him. Sometimes it was sports, sometimes cooking, sometimes nature. Learning English became connected to his interests. This made practice exciting, engaging, and meaningful. Motivation is stronger when learning is connected to your heart, not just your head. Tom also noticed that sharing knowledge creates joy. When he helped a friend understand a word or shared a story, he felt proud and happy. Teaching, even in small ways, makes learning deeper. Sharing English with others creates connection, strengthens memory, and makes practice enjoyable. Finally, Tom practiced patience and consistency. Learning a language is a long journey. Sometimes progress feels slow. Sometimes words are forgotten. But he remembered that curiosity, joy, and consistent effort together create lasting improvement. Patience makes learning sustainable. Curiosity makes it exciting. Joy makes it meaningful. Friends, you can practice like Tom. Start noticing small moments that make you curious. Ask questions about the world, about people, about words. Celebrate every small achievement. Combine practice with your passions. Share your knowledge with friends or family. Be patient and consistent. These habits make learning English not just effective, but a joyful, lifelong adventure. At the end of the day, Tom reflected one more time. He remembered nervous days, mistakes, pauses, and small stories. Now he could speak with clarity, listen with attention, tell engaging stories, ask meaningful questions, and connect naturally. Most importantly, he felt excited to keep learning, curious to explore, and joyful in every step. He realized a deep truth: Motivation, curiosity, and joy are the fuel that makes your English journey alive and sustainable. In the next section, we will explore how to bring all the skills together for real-life storytelling, confident conversations, and natural English fluency. You will see how listening, speaking, habits, confidence, flow, observation, and curiosity create complete communication. Remember, friends, learning is not just a goal. It is a joyful journey, and every step matters.